Well, today's episode is going to be the biggest one and the longest one I've ever done. Now, those who have been in this channel from day one or you're new to the channel may have noticed there are times I do one channel on certain occasions. For example, if it's WrestleMania by itself, that's what I do it. But on times, I normally do two reviews. The maximum that I've done so far is up to five. Well, today is going to be the exception because we're going to do six. We're going to be reviewing GLEAT's latest event that took place on the 23rd of February with G Pro Wrestling version 45 with some interesting matches with one Yoshi match involved, a 2 out of 3 falls 8-man tag match and whatnot. We'll also continue on with the latest Gatoh Move show, Let's Go Yokohama, that also came that was out on the 23rd of February as well. Then we move on to Impact Wrestling No Surrender. Will we see title changes? Will we see what matches will be interesting to talk about? And then, of course, we got ChocoPro's latest show, 296 with three matches. As you know, there were some technical difficulties for their show, but luckily I got to watch that. And then, of course, we have Ganbare Pro Wrestling with their latest show with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that came out today. But this one features, of course, the Spirit of Ganbare Openweight Championship. Mizuki Wadaze is going to defend this title against Shinichiro Tominaga, which is going to be interesting. And then finally, we cap things up with NWA at USA, which of course it relates to one thing that I knew it was going to happen: the NWA United States Tag Team titles. But we do got a women's qualifying match for the NWA Women's World Television title was announced, and many other things. And of course, we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay Roddy here. So, we start up with GLEAT with their latest show, G Pro Wrestling version 45, part of the Origin series. It opened up with a very interesting six-man tag match. We have the Yans family making their way, consisted of Masato Kamino, Yusuke Kodama, and Takanori Ito, where they take on Shinya Ishida and members of 60 Seconds, consistent of Jun Tonsho and Tetsuya Izushi. Now, a lot of things many people have questioned about the Yans family, like what is up with them with Issei Onizuka. As you know, there was a situation where they kidnapped them. Now, I wasn't sure too much about it, but however, I feel like the Yans family have been recently been making headways, as you know, as the latest unit within GLEAT. Now, as you know, I talked about Strong Hearts was the first, and then the Bulk Orchestra, then 60 Seconds, and now Black Generation International, and now this with Jan's family. Now, the Jan's family are a bit of a kind of like a cookie, kind of like a wacky group. They're just having a bit of fun, enjoying everything. I thought it was pretty cool. But however, this match ended with Toncho getting a combination move on him until he was pinned by Kodama, giving them a good win. However, the obvious question does remain: what's going to happen to Onitsuka? We haven't seen him since they kidnapped him the last time. Well, we'll find out later on, because he is scheduled to face in the singles match. Next match, we have the Yoshi girls taking the stage We got Yukari Hosokawa taking on Michiko Miyagi. Now, as you know, Hosokawa made her return on the last show, taking on Unagi Sayaka. There was, you probably can guess, some factors here about her of her return. As you know, she left to take her final exams. She passed, but the real question does remain: how much ring rust does she has now? She did okay, but however, she's facing Unagi Sayaka, who's been killing it right now in the independents in Japan, mostly with the Yoshi promotions and other promotions. It was very interesting to see her come back, but now she's facing someone who she has faced countless times. She teamed up with. We're talking about Michiko Miyagi, who I consider as the top Yoshi of this promotion. So I think this was a good stepping thing for her to get in, to get her feet wet. But that wasn't enough because, of course, it was a spinning tombstone that Miyagi applied onto Hosokawa to give her the win. I'm sure we will see more of Hosokawa down the line, but I'm sure she'll get better at it and get a very good, impressive win in the future. Now, our next match, we got Yu Iizuka taking on Issei Onizuka. As soon as he was coming out, guess who's behind him? That's right. The Yans family showed up trying to show him support. He's like, what the hell? They won't leave him alone. Now, I don't know what the Yans family are trying to do. Are they trying to, how do I say, snatch him away from Strong Hearts? I want to be honest with people about that. I don't know if he really fit to be with the Strong Hearts. I mean, he's a bit loud. He knows what he's doing. Majority of the time, we've seen him lose some matches, but I don't know. It's kind of weird. But the one thing that was interesting, I don't see anybody from Strong Hearts trying to defend him. It's nothing compared like we see in Stardom with, of course, DDM are trying to snatch Lady C away from Queen's Quest, but recently Queen's Quest, we're not going to take that lightly. We're not seeing that with Strong Hearts. I'm like, what is up with that? But, however, because I think right now this Onizuka is right now because Jans is getting on his head. He lost the match. He actually lost the match when he got suplex slam, and Izuka won. But once again, oh my God, Jan's family decided to carry him off. I don't know what is up with that. I mean, Izuka just stands there like I don't know what's up with that. I mean, I think this is an interesting story that they want to recruit him, but he's like, no, leave me alone. It's like he doesn't want nothing to do with them. I mean, look, he's willing to accept I'm Strong Hearts. I can't be with you guys. But they want him. But we'll see what happens down the line in a row with these guys. Now, our next match, we have Oji Shiba representing 60 Seconds, teaming with Shigehiro Iri, a member of Strong Hearts. They take on the members of Bulk Orchestra, consistent of Czech Shimatani and Galeno del Mar, who is the son of Dr. Wagner Jr. and brother of Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. I have to say, Galeno is really, really, really becoming a big impression. Gave a big impression being in GLEAT for the first since arriving, and I thought it was pretty good. Now, the obvious question is, I knew this was going to go where we're going to have a hoss fight between both Shigehiro Iri and Galeno because they're both big men. But I look at Galeno; he's a much bigger individual than him. I wouldn't be surprised in the future we will see those two in a one-on-one match. That is something I know we could see. However, this match ended in a ref's decision. What happened is Galeno applied a cannonball onto Shiba, but he was unresponsive. So the ref made the choice to call it. It was done. I hope he's okay because the members of 60 Seconds come out. Erie was right there watching him, like saying he was okay. I mean, look, Galeno, he's a big individual. Sometimes things like that happen. I mean, if you heard the stories about the Great Khali, they said that he killed someone during a wrestling match because of his size. I hate to see something like that happen. And, and of course, people say the same thing about Nia Jax. But hopefully it's nothing that's too serious. But hope Oji Shiba is okay. Next up, we got the members of Strong Arts, consistent of El Lindaman and T-Hawk, taking on the members of Bulk Orchestra, Kazuma Sakamoto and Hayato Tamura. Now, you know for a fact that there's going to be a moment where we see, um, as you know, Tamura, he is one half of the G-Rex Infinity Tag Team Champions. Now, keep in mind, El Lindaman, not too long ago, he lost the title to Kaito Ishida. So if anybody from the team of Strong Hearts pin Tamura, it would be an indication he would definitely get an opportunity of the G Rex Infinity of the G Infinity tag team titles. And that's exactly what happened. Lindemann applied the German suplex to Tamura. 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now you know, but now the promo that they put out, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the case that El Lindemann, okay, I established myself, I pin you, you're one half of the tag team champions. I definitely want to challenge you. Now, who would El Lindemann pick for a tag partner? I would say it has to be T Hawk. You know, T Hawk seems like a very capable wrestler, so we just gotta wait and see until it becomes official. So that's what I can say. Now, our main event is part of the 2 out of 3 falls 8-man tag match. Team number 1, we have Soma Watanabe teaming up with um, Minoru Tanaka, Shima, and Kaz Hayashi, taking on the members of Black Generation International, consistent of Kotaro Suzuki, Yutani, Hartley Jackson, and of course our current G-Rex champion Kaito Ishida. Now, the match ended. The first fall goes to, of course, it was a pinfall by Shima to Suzuki, and then the second pinfall it went into a pile driver by Jackson all the way to Watanabe. Now, the third fall is a very crucial one since everybody is tied up. So the obvious was going to be, now for me, I thought in this case, because Black Generation International has been making, okay, it's been making headways, I was surprised with the win. It was Soma Watanabe who picked up the win for his team by applying a 450 splash onto Yutani. I'm sure Kaito Ishida is not happy with the loss, but I think he should be thankful that no one pinned him for a shot of the G-Rex title. I'm sure that's what he will be happy about. But however, I don't know what the thing is this with Soma Watanabe. He is a very talented wrestler. I'm surprisingly that Shima was asking him for something. I'm not sure if he's inviting him to join Strong Arts, but Kaz Hayashi, who is part of the main unit, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, Soma Watanabe, he's a very talented wrestler, but we'll just wait and see when that day comes. I think that's pretty much it for GLEAT. I believe it's time for Gatoh Move. Okay, so as you all know, Gatoh Move had their latest show at Yokohama, which, as you know, they've been doing shows every once a month or maybe once every 2 months, however you want to proceed it. This one's called Let's Go Yokohama. Some interesting matches and bookings I think were really fun to enjoy. Our opening match is a 6-person tag match. We have Sayaka Obihiro, Sayaka, and Trans Am Hiroshi taking on Mochi Natsumi, Tokiko Kirihara, and Antonio Honda. Now, you know this match is going to be a lot of fun and a little bit of the comedy routine due to the fact of Antonio Honda's, how he acts and behaves around people when it comes to comedy. That always plays out in his favor. However, he always plays a little bit of the tricks to find ways to pick up the win. However, there was no X factors in this type of matchup because they're both good. All competitors were good, but however, this match ended when Antonio Honda applied the schoolboy onto, I think it was Sayako Obihiro, yeah, on Obihiro to pick up the win. Next match is a singles match. We have the rookie Miya Yotsuba taking on the veteran Coyote Yonayama. Now, you know for a fact this is one of those matches where, of course, Miya has to be on her toes. Yonoyama is a high speedster. You know for a fact she's going to try to do her high speed on her in every aspect. What I did like about this match also is how Mia is trying to apply submission techniques. She even applied the Texas Cloverleaf onto Yonoyama, but she made it out of the ropes in time for her to kick out. But I knew that this match was going to end in Yonoyama's favor because she never counts out her finisher, the O'Connor roll, and that gave her the win. Of course, Mia could not believe that she lost in that way. So even Yonayama extended her hand out of respect. She slapped it back. Next up, we have a non-title tag team match. We have, of course, Rekka and Gaia Hawks, who we've seen them already in ChocoPro on maybe one or two occasions. They take on our current All Asian Dream Tag Team Champions, CDK, Masahiro Takanashi, and Chris Brooks. Now, keep in mind, I did say a non-title match. If they win this match, Rekka and Gaia can actually have an opportunity to challenge for those belts. But however, in this type of match that CDK will do everything in their power to ensure that doesn't happen. That's always been their game plan. No challengers try to hold on to the titles as much as possible unless they get unlucky, somebody pins them. But in this case, it was Chris Brooks with an inverted DDT with the kick that finished off Gaia, and then Masa picked up the win by pinning Gaia. Next match I have to say this was a real interesting singles match. We have Chi Koshikawa teaming up with Tai Hamna. I have to say this was a pretty good match because both these ladies applied submission techniques. Now keep in mind, those who follow Tai Hamna, you know for a fact she has a judo background. That's always been on her playbook. I've seen her apply arm bars and all that stuff. You know for a fact that that's going to be her main weapon in order to put the only main weapon that she has is the muffler, or is it similar to the move that El Desperado applies, which is dos. But which submission person's going to win out this one? They've been going back and forth on this one time and time again. But finally, until Tai Hamna had the position to put Chi in a armbar, she knows she was too far away. She couldn't get to the ropes until she decided to apply the other arm to make it a double lock on that, forcing her to tell the ref, yes, she gives up. Now, our main event we have is the Best Bros, Mei Suga and Balinaki taking on Drew Parker and Rina Yamashita. Now, Best Bros are no strangers to Rina Yamashita. They have challenged the Best Bros before when they were still the Asian Dream Tag Team Champions. However, the circumstances have changed. Now, keep in mind these two competitors are they're involved in death matches a lot, but they're not afraid to play traditional style. That always plays out. Now, Best Bros have tried to apply their newer arsenal. Having Balinaki having Meishuga on top of his shoulders to do the choke slams and all that. That kind of worked its way out, but it was affected of when it was the appropriate timing. But when things seems were going well for the Best Bros, apparently it wasn't enough. Rina Yamashita applied, of course, the diving body splash onto Mei Shiruga and picked up the win. Now, I don't know if this is a post-match or post-show, how are we doing? There were several announcements that were made from the roster of the ChocoPro / Gatoh Move. City K said that they're issuing a challenge to anybody who's willing to challenge for their Asian Dream Tag Team belts. However, I had a feeling that this was going to fall in because I talked about them on certain occasions. I mean, they had some great successes as a tag team. I'm talking about Chi Koshikawa and Sayaka. Now, if you guys don't know what I'm referring to, let me recap. Recently, they have picked up some good wins as a tag team, and I did say I wouldn't be surprised if they would challenge for those belts. And now I feel like this opportunity arises for them to finally to step up and challenge for those belts. And I feel that's what they needed. Now, I know Chi has come across the challenge for those belts on certain occasions when it came with her former tag partner, Hagane Shino, when they were known as the Egtarts. But now this is different. She teams up with her friend, rival, and of course, fellow member of the fourth generation of the Gatoh Move system, Sayaka. So I am excited for that. But however, Masa Takanashi has announced that Balanaki will be putting his Super Asia Championship on the line against Hagane Shino. Balanaki is no stranger to him. He knows who he is. So basically, he will not back down from any challenge, no matter what. So he accepts the challenge. Now, the bigger news is coming from Mei Shiruga. Now, she did announce that the next Gatoh Move event, well, this one was a bit of surprise. There's going to be two shows in the same month, and it's going to be at Shinkiba First Ring. I don't know if they ever done I think they might have done a show there a long time ago, but now it's like they're going to do that. There's going to be two shows in that particular venue on April 25th and April 27th. Now, as I said before, Gatoh Move does their shows every once a month or 2 months a month, every 2 months. So I think this could be it. I wouldn't be surprised if they already one of these shows or two they both have the championships matches on that. So we just gotta wait and see until they decide what the card is gonna be. So I think that's pretty much it. We got to move. What we got next? Oh yes, we got Impact Wrestling. Okay, Impact Wrestling, No Surrender. Now I didn't get the chance to see this when it came out. I was pretty much hoping what's gonna turn out to be. Now, our first two opening matches were in fact the pre-show matches, or known as the countdown. Similar like the buy-in, what they call it, but they call it different else. Normally, it's a pre-show, but according to what Tom said, one of the commentators, these two matches have the qualities of a big pay-per-view quality, and frankly, I agree. Now, our first match, we have Giselle Shaw along with Jai Vidal taking on Deonna Purrazzo. What I did like about this match is how Matthew Renwell, who is torn, he's a fan of these two ladies, not to mention his relation with Deonna Purrazzo. But we have to remember, this match only happened because Deonna Purrazzo calls Giselle Shaw the Black Widow, not to mention she's taking credit over the fact that she claims she's the reason that Chelsea Green is gone thanks to her. And Deonna Purrazzo will not take that kindly. But the only X factor in this matchup is Jai Vidal, who's sort of like a consultant to Giselle Shaw. Now, things seems like they were ready to fall into favor for Deonna Purrazzo, but out of nowhere, here comes Savannah Evans, and she helps Giselle Shaw. We don't know what it was this all about, but however, we do know that Savannah Evans was having a bit of a how do we say this? A bit of implosion between her and Tasha Steelz. Now, we haven't heard Tasha Steelz for quite some time, but we'll find out on Thursday what takes place. Now, our second match in the countdown, I have to say this one is one of the best ones. We have Jonathan Gresham taking on Speedball Mike Bailey. I think this match was awesome. Now, if you guys never seen them outside of Impact Wrestling, these guys have challenged each other before in GCW, and JCW, all of that. You know for a fact these matches are going to be good. They're both wrestlers. That's exactly what Matthew Renwall called them. But how was this going to play out? Now, keep in mind, Jonathan Gresham knows how to find weak spots, like applying joints to his opponents. You look at um, Mike Bailey, he has ways to come up with the striking techniques. Basically, we have two different types of various styles that could help each other win. But it was Jonathan Gresham who picked up the win by submission, just like that. It was over from the moment. And of course, the octopus, it reigns supreme. Now, our opening show of the main card, we have the director of Authority himself, Santino Marella. He lays out saying that he is going to introduce the person in the opening match. His pick since he took over as the director of Authority, Frankie Kazarian. His opponent is none other than Khan. Now the story is what's going on. As you remember, Frank Kazarian is questioning Sammy Callahan What is his deal with the design? Is he really part of the group? Is he embracing them, or is he playing games with them? We don't know if that's the case. However, Khan stepped up the plate to handle it. Now, keep in mind, Diener's watching from the ramp. The only X factors here is Sami Callihan and Alan Angels watching on. Now, when you think it's going to be impossible for Frankie Kazarian to put away a big individual like Khan, it was. However, Sami Callihan really screwed things up. When he had the chair applied, he was intending to hit Frank Kazarian. He accidentally hit Khan until um, Frank Kazarian applied the springboard cutter onto Khan, picking up the win. But of course, this does not satisfy for Diener, knowing that Callihan screwed up. So we don't know what's going to happen this coming Thursday on Impact. I'm sure it's not going to be good for Sammy. Now, our next interview we do have is Brian Myers. He talks about how he's happy that he's in the number one contendership. As you know, this is something that he felt that he wants to step in. He hopes that he walks out as the number one contender and hopefully challenge for the Impact World title. But however, Jerry Miller did ask, how is Matt Cardona? That, as you know, Matt Cardona was humiliated by Joe Hendry. Um, he said he's not at liberty to talk, but he does say that he hopes that Moose repays him the favor to beating Joe Hendry. Now, our next match is the Impact Knockouts World Tag Team Championship between challengers the Hex, Marty Bell, and Allison Kay to take on the Death Dolls, Tail Valkyrie, and Jessica. I have to say this was a good match. Now, keep in mind that Death Dolls to me are like the top tag team at this point with Impact Wrestling. You look at the Hex, they're the ones that kept women's tag team alive in other places. Now, I know some people will disagree with this because some people say WWE has the best women's tag team. Well, there's factors of that, but that's another discussion for another time. But it was pretty interesting. However, Rosemary did not get involved in this match. She was there to guide them to ensure they win. But however, it was, of course, the sick driver by Jessica and Tail Valkyrie that put away Marty Bell and retain the Impact Knockouts World Tag Team titles. Now, our next match we have is the Impact Digital Media Championship in a dot combat match. Now, those who don't know what that is, it's nothing compared like weapons or anything. Everything is legal. Basically, you can use, chairs, you can use that too. However, there was a lot of toys that have been used. We have Moose versus Joe Hendry. I have to say, this is one of the funnest matches I've ever watched in this one. The reason is this is because, um, what was it? Joe Hendry, there was a moment where Moose flipped the bird right in front of Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry flipped them off by using the opening of the Dreamcast. You know that videos, the Sega Dreamcast, and just like that. I thought it was hilarious, and of course, he tried to use toy cars in his matter, and then he just whacked one of them right in the gonads. But the best moment is when, of course, Joe Hendry grabbed one of those visualizers. We don't know what Moose was looking at, and then they showed us he was looking at some booty girls, and then all of a sudden he plays the Moose song. I think this was one of the most funnest matches I enjoyed. I think it was a lot of fun. But it was, of course, a roll up by Joe Hendry on by grabbing the tights to ensure the win. But everything was legal. So basically, Joe Hendry walked out as the winner. Now, our next interview, as you know, we have is Mickie James. Now, Mickie James knows that for two things. One, Jordan Grace will be sticking close to watching this match very closely because she does have an opportunity for to cause her rematch. But right now, she has her work cut out with one particular person, and that is Masha Slamovich. She knows she's not dealing with a slouch, but she's prepared for it. Now, our next thing we see is the Bustin' Open radio between both Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer. Now, as you know, this thing between them has been escalating for a while since, of course, Bully Ray played everyone about his little thingy that he was doing. However, he crossed the line by throwing coffee in the eyes of Tommy Dreamer and all this. So basically, he walks alone in this. So he's on his own. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tommy Dreamer would definitely put himself in a match against him in a hardcore match. I'm not sure. Now, our next interview, Rich Swann, as you know, he's been preparing for this match for almost 2 years. Like he's hyped up, but someone has to rain on his parade. Steve Maclin. Now, Steve Maclin, as you know, he's been on a warpath to have an opportunity of the Impact World title for 2 years, claiming that Scott D'Amore has ignored him, believing that what's his name, Josh Alexander has been dunking him. Now, I don't know if you call it dunking. He doesn't think that Josh Alexander. I mean, Steve Maclin doesn't fit to be a champion. But however, Steve Maclin is involved in that four-way match for the number one contender ship for the Impact World title. So let's see what happens in that match. So we have Steve Maclin versus Brian Myers versus Heath versus PCO. Now you know anything could happen in this type, but I had a feeling that this was going to happen where Eddie Edwards shows up and whacks PCO in the back. Now remember, Eddie Edwards was involved in that qualifying match. PCO cost them that, and now Eddie Edwards gave him like the how to say an eye for an eye type of attitude. But however, Heath had this match won, but it was the KIA by Steve Maclin onto Heath that allowed him to become the number one contender for the Impact Wrestling World Championship. But as soon as this match was over, Trey Miguel, who is still in effect over what happened at the Monster Balls, decided to pick some poor choice of words with the the French Canadian Frankenstein himself, PCO. So what happened is he got his butt whooped. He should have been careful what he says, but don't mess with PCO. Our next match is a very interesting trios match. We have Time Machine, consistent of Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, and Kushida, taking on the members of Bullet Club, Ace Austin, Chris Bay, and of course our new strong openweight champion, Kenta. This is one of those matches where you know there's going to be some tag team consistency in the future. Now, keep in mind, Ace Austin and Chris Bay haven't set their sights set for the Impact World titles, but now this is the perfect opportunity to show the world what they can do. However, certain moments we know that, of course, we can see great combinations from Time Machine, but it was no effect until they applied a move that is so old school and sometimes may affect on certain occasions. What was it? It was Ace Austin with the landslide onto Chris Sabin that pinned Chris Sabin. Now, matter of fact about this has put them now into discussion for an opportunity of the Impact World Tag Team titles. Now, when will this take place? We don't know. We will find out more on Thursday when it comes. We know that the Ace and Chris Bay will be talking about it. Now, our next match we have is, of course, the Knockouts World Championship between Masha Slamovich and Mickie James. Now, keep in mind, Masha, she is a dangerous individual. You know that she will do anything to hurt Mickie James in order to obtain the Impact Knockouts World Championship. But there was a moment where, of course, Masha tried to lick the face of Mickie James, and Mickie James bit her tongue. The referee didn't. I think that he showed a little bit of leniency over what he saw, but everything that Mickie James tried to do, it did not work in her favor. But she did pull up I don't know if you call it like a jackknife onto Masha Slamovich that helped her retain the title. So the obvious question, who will be the next? We don't know. Another disappointing loss by Masha Slamovich on this one. Now, our commentators has announced for two big events taking place in Canada. The first one will be Sacrifice at Windsor, Ontario, Canada. The last time they did the show was 3 years ago. This will take place on March 24th. And then, of course, we have Rebellion will take place in April. They have in Toronto, Canada as well. They haven't done a show since 2009. So it's great that Impact are making some moves in Canada. Now let's jump into our main event, which is the Impact World title between two friends, Rich Swann and Josh Alexander. I have to say, they did not hold back, neither. Now, keep in mind, Josh Alexander has been known for to be the shortest and the longest reigning champion. If you guys don't know what I'm referring to for the shortest, he won the belt and Bound for Glory in Las Vegas, which ironically is the same location where where No Surrender's at. But he's now currently the longest reigning champion since beating Moose for it. So this is one of those matches where you know he has to be on his A game. However, Rich Swann, as you know, 2 years ago lost this belt against Kenny Omega. So this he never had another opportunity. But now this is another chance. You can tell there were moments you thought Rich Swann would have been the one to dethrone Josh Alexander. But however, it was Alexander with the C4 spike that put away what's his name? Oh, yeah, put away Rich Swann to retain the title. Now, it was announced that Josh Alexander will put the Impact World Championship on the line at Rebellion. So basically, it's now been set. So the obvious thing is, will Steve Macklin get what he wants? He's accused Scott D'Amore of protecting Josh Alexander for too long, and since Bully Ray took out D'Amore, Macklin believes that he's no one's there to protect them this time. We just gotta wait and see until that day happens. So I think that's pretty much it with Impact. I believe it's time to move on with ChocoPro. Okay, ChocoPro 296. As you know, there was some technical difficulties with the internet for them to broadcast it live, but luckily they uploaded for everyone. The opening show was none other than Mei Suruga giving the lowdown, what's going on, what matches are taking place, being a little silly. Now, our opening match is a tag team match. We have Chi Koshikawa teaming with Mochi Natsumi. Now, these two ladies have fought each other in singles competition and tag team competition, but this is the first time these two team up. Their opponents is none other than Sayako Bihiro and one half of the Asian Dream Tag Team Champions, Masahiro Takanashi. Now, keep in mind, Masa is a very clever individual. He knows how to be clever in the match, how to apply wins and all that. He's capable of making sure that the match will fall in his favor no matter what it takes. But you got someone like Chiko Shikawa who has too much energy, and Mochi Natsumi, as you know, she is a member of Prominence. That also applies it. But however, it was Masahiro Takanashi that applied the pinfall to Chiko Shikawa. 1, 2, 3. It was over. Very disappointing loss for Chi. I'm sure she would have wanted to pin him, but fortunately it did not. As you know, if someone pinned Masa, there is the possibility for the Asian Dream Tag Team titles could be on the line, but it hasn't been defended for quite some time since the last Gatoh Move show prior before the Yokohama show. Next up, we have Miya Yotsuba taking on Antonio Honda. Now, keep in mind, these two have been going back and forth many times. There were moments where Miya seems like she had the match won in her favor, but unfortunately, it doesn't. This time, she has to face a guy who knows how to talk to a mic, distract people, do all this and that. And of course, that's what Antonio Honda does. But however, when it seems like Miya seems like she had the match in her grasp for her first win, Antonio Honda applied a inside cradle, and 1, 2, 3 was over. Mia felt that she won that match, but apparently it did not. It looked like it came. Antonio picked up the win by applying that move. That's a old move that will be unexpected to see unless you can try to kick out of it. So I feel bad for Mia, but that's how it is. The veteran move works first. Now our final match is a tag match. We have Shin Suzuki teaming up with Chonchiru to take on the Best Bros, Mei Suruga and Balianaki. I thought this match was a lot of fun. Now, Shin Suzuki, as you know, has dealt with Balianaki on multiple occasions in tag team action and in singles competition. Don't forget, he did challenge Balianaki last year for the Super Asia title, but he came up short. But you got to remember, there's someone who they need to look out more for more. It's Chonchito, who is a bit of a, like Masa, a very clever wrestler to find ways to ensure the match will fall in his favor. But in this case, it was Valiant Aki with the diving body splash that sealed the deal for him and the Best Bros to pick up the win. And I'm sure Shin Suzuki felt terrible for the loss, but that's how it rolls. Now, we jump into our Jonkin tournament. This was a very interesting one. I wasn't expecting Masa to be eliminated in the first round. He normally can get to the finals or semifinals in the matter, but somehow Mei Shruga was able to get all the way to the second round, but lost to Chiko Shikawa, which was very disappointing. And I thought Mia would do, but we made the ones who made it to the finals was none other than Chiko Shikawa and no Mochi Natsumi. I didn't think it was possible. I cannot remember if Mochi Natsumi's ever won the chocolate or Jonkin. I can't remember if she ever did, but she has won it a few times. But she picked up the win, and then of course she decided to get into the head to Masa that she won the chocolate. I don't know what's that all about, but that's how it is with her. I thought it was a pretty good show. I can't wait to see the next one. But right now, let's move on with Ganbare Pro. Okay, Ganbare Pro Wrestling. Um, their latest event that happened is called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Um, it opened up with Nume Tatsu Nakamura taking on Shota. Now, keep in mind, Nakamura is a young boy. He's still on the learning curve. You probably would have guessed this match falls in favor with Shota. It did. However, he applied the Gargano escape, and Nakamura had no other choice but to tap. Our next match we have is Yumehiro Inamura teaming up with Kabuto Hitomi, who is in fact the founder and owner of PPB Tokyo, which is strange that he teams up with him. But their their opponent is none other than, of course, Yuki Kanzaki and Somotoko. I thought this match had a lot of how to say heavy hitting moves on this one, but it only took a lariat by Inamari to put away Kanzaki. I felt that Kanzaki is like the not the weakest link, but the factor that since he's a new guy facing against a veteran like Inamari, that allowed them to win the match. So I thought it was pretty good. Now, this next match, I have to say, is one of the most important matches, especially for the future of Gambari Yoshi. We have Yoshiko Hasegawa and Yuri taking on, of course, the veterans of Gambari Pro, especially the OG Ganjos. We're talking about Moika Aruhi and Harukaze. I have to say, awesome match. I think this put it kind of felt like more emotion on this one. Keep in mind, there's a lot of things that were in the heads of everyone, but it was Haruhi with the diving foot stomp onto Yuri to pick up the win. But the post match was the one thing that kind of made me cry because, as you may have heard a while back, Yuna Manaze decided that she wants to start a Gambari Yoshi brand. Basically, what represents Gambari into the Yoshi wrestling way. However, that thing was put on hold because Yuna is out due to an injury she obtained. However, uh, Aruhi and Arukaze admired Yuri and Hasegawa for what they did. Now, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, they implored it not to shut down Gambari Yoshi just yet. So basically, Kanoka agreed with them, so they decided to relaunch it on April. And of course, they felt that, keep in mind, Aruhi and Arukaze have been the ones that kept pushing and pushing for Ganjo since day one. But I think the one person who felt more emotional in this particular thing is none other than Hasegawa. If you guys remember clearly, Hasegawa took 1 year of absence This was around the time when her old promotion that she was in, Actress Girls, shut down when they went to a different direction. She felt that she had no home, but now she felt that helping build Ganbare Yoshi will be a next step. And she even mentioned about bringing someone that she knows to this. I don't know who, but it was very interesting. She wants to help build a home for other Yoshi wrestlers that might have left the promotions that they were in, and I think it's kind of nice of her that she thinks that way. And I think I do believe in this promotion, in this brand, Gambara Yoshi. I can't wait to hear from more of it. Now, our next match, we have tag team action. We have Chuchito Katsumata and Hartley Jackson taking on Kusuke Ishii and Ken Oka. Now, this is a match where it's going to be a lot of heavy hitting. Keep in mind, we have Kusuke Ishii. I see him as one of the most strongest competitors. I've seen him on All Japan Pro Wrestling, GLEAT, even the same thing with Hartley Jackson. But in this case, I was surprised that it was Ishii that applied the what was it? The locomotive high angle double arm DDT onto Katsumura, giving him the win. However, this is what it was later announced. There is going to be a tournament with 4 teams to find out who will be the first ever Spirit of Ganbare Pro Openweight Tag Team Champions. Now, Oka did ask Ishii if he wants to be his tag partner. Ishii said he has other plans, and then he tried to convince Katsumata, but it took a lot of convincing to do it until he did. Now, our main event features, of course, the Spirit of Ganbare World Openweight Champion. We have Shinichiro um, Tominaga and Mizuki Watase. Now, Mizuki Watase, this is his third defense. So I thought this match was pretty good, but however, I did like how Tominaga was aiming for the elbow onto to Watase, because that he always uses his elbow strike to put away his opponents, which it's always been effective. But he knows he was in excruciating pain, so he had to do the one thing he knows in order to retain the title is to apply that and end it just like that, giving him the win. So this became his victory number 3. Now, in the post match, he did stated that by the end of March, he'll be taking on Expedition, defending the Spirit of Ganbare Pro Wrestling in I don't know if it's here in the U.S. or in the world, whatever he was talking about. But I think it's going to be a great idea because not a lot of people know Ganbare Pro Wrestling as much as myself and whoever, if any of you guys are big fans of that. But yeah, I think it's pretty awesome that they were decided to do that. So I think that's pretty much it right now with Ganbare Pro. I believe it's time to review our final review, NWA USA. Okay, our final review is the NWA USA. Now, it opened up with PJ Hawks of Hawks Ori taking on Joe Alonso. Now, keep in mind, Joe Alonso, since aligning with Jamie Hayter, he's going to make his way to the top to win the NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship. However, he has to face a competitor who has fought for that belt but never made it through to pick up that title. But one thing is for certain is that I knew from the moment this match was happening that weasel of a manager, Stanley, was gonna help out somehow. But he wasn't on top of the ring like we normally see other managers in the past. No, he distracted PJ Hawks very well, not for him to get himself into trouble, but it did allow for Joe Alonso to pick up the win and then does a somewhat of a face first full Nelson type where he just has him on a full Nelson, then trips him and boom, face first on the mat. 1, 2, 3. I'm sure this will be a direct message to him, direct message for him to carry more to say he'll be coming for the junior heavyweight title. Now, our next interview, this one was conducted by Kyle at the podium. Now, if you guys remember what happened at NWA Power, I believe. Well, let's go back to the last pay-per-view. Enough said. As you know, in the last pay-per-view by the NWA, we have crowned our brand new NWA United States Tag Team Champions. The Country Gentleman, AJ Kanzana, and his cousin Anthony Andrews. Now, since becoming the new United States Tag Team Champions, they received the newer belts. The ones that, of course, the fixers denied because they rather have the old ones. And then, of course, back in Power, in the last episode of Power, they showed up and stole the old belts. Now, I did say this on that review. I said I wouldn't be surprised if the fixers stealing the old belts, that would make them think, yes, we're still the NWA and United States Tag Team Champions. I was right. It was exactly like I thought. However, there were some things that had to be cleared in the air. So they brought in a former champion of that particular title. And of course, who was also the United States champion. That is Bobby Fulton. Now, Bobby Fulton made it clear to the fixers, saying, "You guys are not uh, the NWA United States Tag Team Champions." Now, the fixers refuse to accept it. They're saying they are. No, no. Those belts are deactivated. That means they're not. The only reason the country gentleman had those was to establish the newer ones. But on record, it says the country gentlemen are the real NWA tag team United States tag team champions. But the fixers think in their minds, since stealing those belts is theirs. But Fulton did stated that he's going to bring a couple of guys to teach them a lesson. So we'll see what happens. But I did state it. The fixers think they're the champions. Now we do get another. Then we go to the back with May Valentine, who is interviewing Psycho Love, consistent of what's her name, of Angela Love and her lover, Father. Now, as you know, that things are not going well for them. They had a big loss, at enough said. But Father had a very interesting message saying, "I'm issuing any open challenge to anybody if they come. I don't care what continent you're from or wherever." So he's telling them, calm on down, guys. Let me give you a big ass whooping. So that's what he's telling them. So we'll see who will be the brave enough to challenge him. Now, our next match is the qualifying match for the NWA Women's Television Championship. We have Samantha Starr versus Ashley DeWalls. Now, as you know, we already have a match involving two matches involving that or so, but this one was very interesting. Now, I wasn't too sure how this was going to play because I know who Samantha Starr is. She is a second generation wrestler. Ashley DeWalls, I've seen her on multiple occasions at NWA Dark, AEW Dark. But it's interesting that this is happening because we don't know. But however, this match ended with Ashley Boss countering a roll by Samantha Starr. But however, the ref did not see it. She used the ropes for her advantage to move up to the next round. Now, our final interview with May Valentine, she had a talk with the country gentleman. As you know, as for the record, they are still and currently the NWA United States Tag Team Champions. They heard what Chris Silvio said, that they are gunning for them for their titles for Bulletproof Troop and Jack Zane. So they're not afraid because these guys, they know they're dealing with two of the toughest individuals, and they're saying, "We guys are from Kentucky. We raised in the barn." So they're like, "We've even fought each other." So they're saying, "You guys are no different one way or the other." Now, this next match, the main event, I have to say this one is unbelievably awesome because the way I see it, Thrill Billy Cyrus had been making headways. He took out Kratos, and now he's dealing with Judas. I think this is one of those matches we're saying this guy is not afraid of anybody. He's willing to take on the biggest and the baddest hombres you ever meet, and that person he had to face is Judas, a monster. Now, James Mitchell warned him about he is a genetic monster. So we'll see. But what I thought in the way that Judas was going to throw out the heavy guns on him, but it did not until he ended up on the wrong side of the thrill ride. And 1, 2, 3. I have to say it's one of the biggest upsets right there. But it did show Thrill Billy. I feel Thrill Billy could be the next big star in NWA. I mean, he could get any title he could want. The national title, the world television title, or possibly the 10 pounds go, whatever. I'm not too sure if he has the champion series in his back pocket. That's something I don't know, but we'll see. So I think that's pretty much it with NWA. I believe it's time for our last thing we're gonna do: news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates here. So first things first, congratulations to Rina Amakura from Colors in defeating Saki in the Yes My Way event. She defeated her by winning the Colors Championship. Now, those who don't know, what the heck, did you guys actually knew that there was a Colors Championship? Actually, there is. It has the head of a stuffed lion. Now, I will post that photo of Rina Amakura with that belt at the end of this, so you guys can see it very clear. That is a championship belt. Don't ask me why. Only there's been five. That title has been already been worn out five times. The first person who won it was me, who I believe is retired right now, and then the second person was Saki, who actually held it longer than over 400 days, and then she lost the belt to Kakeru Sekiguchi, and then later she lost it to Saki, and now Rina Mikura won it. So that's going to be great. So stay tuned for that photo at the end of this. Now, for all of you who's been waiting for Ring of Honor, it's been announced that Ring of Honor has begun their tapings. They had some interesting wrestlers that you know from AEW as well. Even Mark Briscoe showed up, being there. We have wrestlers like Will Nangyo, but however, certain wrestlers that I did not expect that were going to show up, like Lady Frost, Timothy Thatcher, and Zack Sabre Jr., who's there who's to put his IWGP World Television title on the line. So hopefully we get to see that. However, there was the other titles that were put on the line. We're talking about the ROH World Heavyweight title and the Pure Championship were also put on the line. So that's pretty cool. I will post a photo of that too, of Ring of Honor set. I think it's a pretty good one. I think it's a masterpiece for me. Now more on WrestleCon. As you know, we're getting closer and closer to WrestleMania weekend. They announced for four new participation in for more guests who will be doing autograph sessions in WrestleCon. We have Zeta Zhang, SoCal Val. You may remember from TNA, who was a how to say one of the Valley Girls. Then of course we have Lisa Marie Varon. You may know her as Victoria in WWE, but also known as Tara in Impact and TNA Wrestling. And then finally, the King himself, Minoru Suzuki. I know for a fact that line's going to be long, so if you guys are planning to go see that, get an autograph session with Minoru Suzuki on that day, I know for a fact there's going to be a long ass line. Now, interesting news has come up. Now, if you guys remember, WWE has cut ties with some of the independent promotions, such as Progress, Insane Championship Wrestling, Evolved, and I forgot who else, WXW. Insane Championship Wrestling has announced that they are now going to be on Fight TV. So good for them. So if you guys are fans of that, you guys can go check it out. I'm not sure if you can subscribe to them, but yeah. Prestige Wrestling has announced for their Hybrid Moments event that will take place on March 26th. First time ever we're being in this match going to take place is one called Manders taking on Akira. That's going to be awesome. Now, the Lucha Brothers promotional show, Republic of Lucha, for March April 30th, has announced that they have signed two referees that will officiate their matches, and you guys know them too well. They're part of AEW. We got Aubrey Edwards and Rick Knox, so I think this is great. Now, for any of you guys who are SoCal from the SoCal area, you may know these promotions: Santino's Bros, Millennial Pro Wrestling, Level Up, and of course Venue. Now, Venue has announced for the first time ever a big event. First time ever, four companies will work together, but however, all four titles of their companies will be put on the line. It's called World of the War that will take place on May 20th. So all four top championship titles will be on the line. So who's going to walk out as a quadruple champion? That's going to be awesome. So this is the first time ever, so I'm really excited. I don't know how I forgot who's the current level of champion since I've been there, but we'll see. Um, Black Label Pro has announced for their upcoming event in Indianapolis, Indiana, for the on the 7th of April called Square Circle Expo. They did announce that Violence is Forever is issuing an open challenge, so that's going to be great. Tom Lawler will be in a match against Jake something. These two guys are former heavyweight champ, the BMLW heavyweight champion, so this is going to be awesome. We have Myron Reed taking on Isaiah Mosey. That's going to be a good match. The GCW Bloodsport 9 event that will take place on the 30th of March. They announced for two new matches. First one is Davey Boy Smith versus JR Credo. And then the second match, we have Eric Hammer versus the heavyweight hustle, Kevin Tankman. So I'm excited for that. Now, our last update, this one was, I came across it by Tokyo Sports. They're talking about Tam Nakano. Apparently, she has her sights set on the three new girls, the new trainees that were introduced back in on the 17th of February in Corkin Hall. This is what it was translated by this guy that did the same translating for Unagi when she was interacting with what's his name, with Suwama. Let's see, let me pull it up real quick. Here it is. This is what she said. Each of the three Stardom rookies who will debut on March 25th has great potential. I am now looking for someone to succeed me. If they join Cosmic Angels, would be willing to teach them my best suplex in the universe and still make them delicious bento lunches every day. Now, some of you may question, why would she be interested in all these three ladies? Well, we all know what's been going on with the Cosmic Angels of late. There's still some unanswered questions because as we speak, they have the showcase event taking place. There is the Cosmics match between Tam, Natsupoi, and Saki taking on Waka, Mina, and Mariah May. Now, keep in mind, both Tam and Waka are the captains. Basically, is the captain's falls match. Now, we don't know what's going to happen since then, but we do know that Waka has until March 25th, which will be her last match. If she doesn't win a match, she's out of the Cosmic Angels. But there was a lot of questions regarding Mina, who's not been interacting with anybody from the Cosmic Angels. It's because, as you know, she came back, she cut ties with Unagi. Unagi, on the other hand, is freelancing right now, even though she is still a member of the Cosmic Angels. So there's a lot of things that are being taking place. So I'm not sure if but I do have this distinct feeling there is no way she can take all three of them. I know that one of the girls who is challenging on her debut match against Julia, I said this to myself. I wouldn't be surprised if Julia decides to recruit her, because keep in mind, by May, Himeka will retire. And I think, for me, I think Julia will have the perfect timing to find someone to come in to fill the void for recruitment. As for the other two, I don't know where they could land. I mean, Tam could take either one or two, whatever suits her. But we'll just wait and see what happens then with the three new recruits, where they land, which units will fit perfectly for them. So I think that's pretty much it with our news updates. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have more ChocoPro and, of course, more on New Japan Pro Wrestling with the CML Fantastic Mania. I'm so excited to watch that. As you know, the Stardom and Showcase Volume 4 will not be distributed. That will be distributed at another later time or later date, I think. But nonetheless, now I know there's some wrestling shows I haven't seen yet, but we'll see from how it happens. If there's anything, I'll just you know, go with it. But for now, let's just how do I uh say I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day.